Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. My name is Riska Almerenda Husni, number 31 from 11 Science 1, and I'm here to present you with my identification for the explanation text, How do bees make honey? So on this occasion, I will go over the generic structure of the explanation text that I have, as well as the language features. Before we get into the identification, you can clearly read my explanation text on the screen titled, How do bees make honey, by pausing the video. After done reading it, now we'll start discussing the generic structure of the explanation text, which is divided into three sections. They consist of general statement, sequence of explanation, and closing. The first section goes to general statement, where is usually placed in the first paragraph. It actually goes the same way in my case, because this part consists of a general introduction of the issue that we are going to explain. From this section, we get to know that honeybees collect nectar and pollen from flowers, and it is this nectar which is taken back to their hive and used to make honey. The next part states a series of steps which explains the phenomena about how specifically the bees make honey. So first, bees drink nectar from flowers using their long tongue. Then bees store the nectar in a special sac called a honey stomach. Inside the honey stomach, special enzymes help change the nectar into two sugars called fructose and glucose. Next, the bee returns to the hive where it spits the nectar from its honey stomach into one of the honeycomb cells. The heat in the hive helps water evaporate from the nectar and it turns into honey. This segment is long enough to explain the process because it is the most significant component of the explanation text. That is called the sequence of explanation and placed in the second and third paragraph consecutively. The last section is closing. In this section, we are told that bees' ability to transfer nectar back to their hive in their stomach and use it to produce honey is an essential part in the creation of honey. Closing, as the name implies, is found in the last paragraph and concludes the final explanation of how crucial bees are in the production of honey. So the generic structure has been identified. Next, we'll move on to the examination of its language features. As can be seen, simple present tense, conjunction, chronological connection, passive voice, action verbs, abstract noun, linking words, and technical terms were included in the language features of my explanation text. Let's go through each one individually. Simple present tense. The sentence pattern is quite simple. It is subject plus verb 1. For example, bees drink nectar from flowers using their long tongue. Their tongue is nearly twice as long as their body, which helps them reach the nectar inside the flower. The heat in the hive helps water evaporate from the nectar and it turns into honey. Out of the things that are mentioned, there are actually many sentences that use the simple present tense, since this language feature is used when something happens regularly. Next, conjunction. It is a word used to connect clauses or sentences or to coordinate words in the same clause. For example, and, whenever, or, although, as well as, etc. Then there is chronological connection. It is subordinating conjunctions which can be used to connect an action or an event to a point in time. For example, first, then, next, eventually, etc. Furthermore, passive voice. The formula of it is subject plus to be plus verb 3 or past participle. A passive construction occurs when you make the object of an action into the subject of a sentence. For example, It is this nectar which is taken back to their hive and used to make honey. Inside the stomach, the nectar is broken down into two sugars. The wax cap is removed. Moreover, there is action verbs. It describes an action like collect, comes, drink, cover, remove, use, produce, makes, etc. There's also abstract noun. It represents intangible ideas, things which can't be perceived with the five main senses. In other words, it's a noun denoting an idea, quality, or state rather than a concrete object. For example, ability and essential. Subsequently, linking word. It shows a connection to link two complete sentences together, like due to and although. Last, technical terms. It has a specific meaning within a specific field of expertise known like nectar, enzymes, fructose, glucose, wax cap, etc. That was all my presentation. Forgive me for the mistakes that I've made. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.